Forever Winter. What a gem. Or rather, it's more of an uncut gem. For those unaware, just look up the Forever Winter on YouTube and just watch all that they have on their channel. You'll thank me later. Because these guys make great stuff. Some of the coolest art design and art direction like I've ever seen. But the execution so far, it needs work. And for those who are familiar, yes, I know, it's an early access game, small indie team, pretty limited budget, I imagine. Now, granted, the team, they are made up of, like, industry veterans, but I feel like they're artists first and developers second. And I love Fundog. I don't mean any offense by this. I love them. They got high aspirations. They are really in tune with what the players want in this corporate world of live service junk with no identity and no passion. Because when the Forever Winter hits, it hits. But its shortcomings right now are really glaring and are really holding it back from being what I think everybody wants it to be, both players and devs included. Tough Love says that they clearly released this into early access way too soon. But I get it. I mean, you released some really great trailers to begin with. Like, these trailers are awesome. And so you want to retain, like, that popularity while that first impression is still fresh. But you get a good impression off the trailer, and then the actual product is less than stellar. Because unfortunately right now, the best parts of Forever Winter are pretty much everything surrounding the gameplay, but not the gameplay itself. And when you're making a video game, it's really not good. And credit where credit's due, they're putting out updates pretty consistently for this game, but I feel like our priorities are in the wrong place here. Because a lot of these updates seem to be focused on adding new content rather than, like, improving on the fundamentals. Obviously new content is good, but do I really want something new when the act of even experiencing it is lukewarm? Like, they mention how, okay, we've got the bones, and now we're going to put the muscle on it, right? In reference to, like, updates to improve the game.
We painstakingly built the bones, and now it's time to wrap the muscle.
But it's more like you got the legs and the torso and the arms and the head, but you don't got any feet or toes or, like, hands or fingers or teeth. The skull ain't got no teeth in it. How am I supposed to chew this food without any teeth? I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of, like, the water system or the looting or the hideout upgrades, like that kind of stuff. I'm just going to be talking about, like, the act of playing the Forever Winter, like, the moment-to-moment basic gameplay. So, do the like and subscribe thing, and then we'll get into this. Thanks.
Hey, what's that guy talking about?
I don't know, but he's got a megaphone.
The game needs to be fluid, it needs to feel polished, and that'll do a lot of the heavy lifting, in my opinion. I think back to the classic, like, 30 seconds of fun quote that everyone refers to with Bungie talking about Halo 3, right?
You can have all the great graphics and all the different characters and lots of different weapons with amazing effects, but if you don't nail that 30 seconds, you're not going to have a great game.
And if you haven't done so already, please go watch my Halo video. Thank you very much. Forever Winter is an extraction shooter, and I'm going to compare it a lot to arcraiders because I think they have very similar concepts. They also run on the same engine, which I think is worth noting, just given the huge discrepancy in optimization between the two games. And yes, I know Embark has a much bigger team, they have a publisher, but playing arcraiders makes me feel like this is what Forever Winter wants to be. It's, okay, I'm looting while trying to hide from giant robots. But unfortunately right now, from a gameplay perspective, Forever Winter feels closer to Left Alive than arcraiders. I gotta pull up the Reggie quote again, I'm sorry, I'm doing it. The game is fun. If the basic moment-to-moment gameplay can be fun, then the issues with the rest of the game can be excused. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, it only had one map, and everyone was pissed off about that because of the lack of content, but because of how fun it was, it made it more replayable. And arcraiders, just the act of walking around and exploring the world is more engaging than, like, the most intense gunfight you'll have in Forever Winter. This is partially due to the environmental design, the map design, the sound design, and most importantly, in my opinion, the animation polish. If you can make the act of just walking around look and sound good and feel satisfying, then you have a lot going for you, just considering how walking is a big part of these types of games. But let's do some comparison. Let's show arcraiders here, and then we'll show Forever Winter here. Look at how much more visually is going on with arcraiders compared to Forever Winter. This is also building off of the third-person view from Battlefront, or even the animations from Battlefield 5, where your backpack, all your gear's like jostling around and reacting and stuff, and even just the movement, the act of running looks good. Whereas in Forever Winter, the sprint is kind of this like Gears of War style, like huddled over, like football run. In an ideal world, Forever Winter will have kind of an arcraider style third-person, with MGS5 or the Division style gunplay. It'll be fluid, dynamic, and responsive, but it still won't necessarily mean there's like a power fantasy, right? You could even add a cover mechanic, either have it be, again, like Metal Gear Solid, where it's kind of a dynamic style where you just kind of press up against the wall, or have it be like a binary thing where you push a button like a normal cover shooter. And then this will be countered out by all the melee units. Okay, you got the cyborg zombies running at you, you got an Orga mech runs up and just punches you, you get suppressed by heavy weapons like a tank's machine gun or a machine gun off of a mech, or a mech just comes in and just shoots it with a giant cannon and blows up your cover or stomps you or something like that. That way there's still like gives and takes to taking cover. It's not just an instant free win button, right? Or even like Metal Gear Solid 4, how you're stealthing through like an active war zone or something like that. It needs to feel like that. And I get that like you're not supposed to be that guy, right? Like the whole point of the game is you're not the main character, you're just a scavenger with a gun who's supposed to be just as vulnerable as the average infantryman. And so I understand the concern. If we make the gunplay too engaging, too much fun, too satisfying, then it might incentivize more Rambo-style run-and-gun gameplay, which is not what the game's supposed to be. But Arcraiders, again, shows how you can have the gunplay feel good and be satisfying, while still being this weak little scavenger that has to be careful with the fights that you decide to pick. I'm not sure how Arcraiders handles fighting humans, because I'm a friendly chap, and I don't PvP in that game, but I imagine this is where inspiration from The Division could come in, specifically The Division 2. Division 2 addressed a lot of the complaints from Division 1, that being the enemies being too bullet spongy. So what they did is they have armor plates on certain parts of the body, and so if you shoot certain areas, then it'll do more damage or less damage. And then they'd also have weak points, so if you shoot their giant ammo rack on their backpack, then it starts to go off, or if you shoot a grenade, it explodes, or if you shoot their air tank, then it just does a lot of damage really fast. And so it rewards being more skillful with where you shoot the guy. And this is the same thing with Arcraiders. Arcraiders has you shooting the thrusters off of the flying enemies, or shooting the knees off of the walkers, stuff like that. So you could easily have it where the Euruscan guys, they have those masks, maybe they have an air tank, you shoot that and it does a lot of damage. Or maybe you can shoot the ammo rack off of an exo and that makes it cook off and explode. The hit reactions to a lot of this is really what's going to help sell that experience and make it feel satisfying, which gets into my next point. It's time for me to glaze Call of Duty 2 and Modern Warfare 2 yet again, because I feel like few games have been able to do it better than they have in terms of the AI behavior and their reaction and their animations and stuff like that. It's why I love these big battle missions from these old school Call of Duty games, because you get to see this on display at all times. If we want a good parallel to Forever Winter, go to The Enemy of My Enemy from Modern Warfare 2. You got two factions fighting each other, right? And so you get to see this kind of AI war going on that you're trying to evade and take a back seat to, just like the Forever Winter. And so you'll see the way that the AI fights each other and how they move around the battlefield, how they react to getting shot. And you compare that to how the Forever Winter is, and it's a night and day difference. Yeah, obviously there's some scripted stuff with like the helicopters flying around or the tanks driving around, but the actual infantry, the way that they move around, this is just the AI systems working how they usually do.
The game to be interesting, like the guys you're playing against have to be fun to play. Does the profile of the character create an interesting look from afar? Is it fun to shoot at him when he runs around? Do you see his limbs moving up and down because there's things jutting up from the sides?
Another great example would be Titanfall, specifically Titanfall 1. The way that the grunts work in that game is severely underrated. I feel like nobody talks about this anymore. And it makes sense. I mean, Titanfall 1's made by a lot of former Modern Warfare 2 devs, so they took a lot of the lessons they learned making that game and then put it into Titanfall. Titanfall, you got the grunts, the way that they move around and react, the way their voice lines work. They talk about the war, they scream in terror, they react to a giant mech barreling down on them. This can also lead into the actual squad composition. Right now, it's just kind of a squad of riflemen, right? Maybe you'll get like a shotgunner or two, but you'd be a fool to go into this war, go into combat without some sort of anti-mech weapons. I mean, how cool would that be to watch a squad of guys take out a mech and then celebrate the fact that they're still alive? Because I mean, right now it's just squads of guys shooting a T90 with their M16s, and it's not very engaging or realistic to watch. Talking briefly about the maps, and this kind of goes into my thing with optimization, is that arcraiders, it's also on Unreal Engine 5, but it shows how big and dense the maps can be while still having a bunch of AI to interact with. Because I feel like Forever Winter is going to have to combine a lot of the maps that they currently have into larger maps in order to allow for some of the larger units that they have planned. Because I mean, in the trailer, you see them exploring, you see them on like this trek throughout the world, but you don't really get that in the game save for fumbling about in the tunnels, which are not as visually interesting as these decrepit skyscrapers you have to navigate while there's giant battles going on in the distance with these huge mechs fighting each other. This is one thing that arcraiders, I think, has in spades. Like, specifically on Blue Gate, you have those giant spider walkers in the background. Like, that's something to look at, and it really sells this fantasy that they're trying to give you. Only thing that would make it better is like if you took a pot shot at one and also just shoots missiles at you and kills you, just to try and sort of integrate it into the gameplay as opposed to just being set dressing in the background. Like, have a bunch of ambience, have gunfire in the background, giant mechs, explosions, more radio chatter, like air raid sirens, damaged intercoms giving out like messages on a loop as part of like, I don't know, a warning system or propaganda or some sort of psychological warfare like Hanoi Hannah from the Vietnam War, something like that.
They will give you a medal, GI, but only after you are dead.
We have this a little bit with like the cow balloons, but that's really it so far. This is why I think Babel and Downtown are the best maps in the game from a design perspective, because they have a lot of environmental storytelling in them. Like, we got nanoviruses, there's cloaked stalkers that just roam the city sometimes. Like, imagine being a civilian, you're going to go get rations, and then you bump into this thing like it's an invisible boatmobile. Which brings us to the final pain point, that being predictability. For a game like Forever Winter to really succeed in its sort of like survival horror fantasy that it wants, it needs to be much more unpredictable in how its systems work, that being like the spawns and just the general AI behavior. I plan to make a whole video about this, about how intricate knowledge of game systems ruins the fun, and this is why Forever Winter needs that randomness. Because unfortunately right now, the game feels more like a theme park than an actual like survival horror experience. Or like playing with action figures given the state of the animations currently. When I'm farming a map for water or for construction foam, good lord, when I spawn Scorched Enclave, I'm gonna know that here comes the bomber dropping off the cyborg zombies, and then here's the Euruscan squad coming to fight the European sniper team or something, you know? I mean, it just makes it feel very rudimentary and predictable with how every raid goes, because I know what's gonna happen before I even click start. It's why I seldom check the wiki for this game, because the last thing I need to know is what the strat is, quote-unquote, on how to fight an Orga mech or something. It just ruins the mystique of the game and makes it less scary, less interesting. Closest thing we get to this randomness is the hunter-killer system, which is like, okay, what hunter-killer am I gonna get? Is it gonna be a stalker? No shit, it's a stalker. Or the nighttime variants, which are scary, but again, you can kind of circumvent this by just using the TAC camera, which I feel like shouldn't really be in the game. I feel like it's a huge cheese. But otherwise, I feel like normally the game, everything just happens around you when you show up. You cause stuff to happen by showing up, and that causes things to spawn and trigger, which is not how the game should be. Everything should happen despite you. Everything should happen regardless of if you're there or not. It feels like cognitive dissonance when the game says, you're not the main character, but I won't have to worry about this squad of cyborgs spawning in if I don't go this direction. In an ideal future, I should be able to go to Ashen Mesa, use the TF2 engineer chair emote on this scaffolding, and just watch the war go by. That's the fantasy that I was sold when I first heard about this game. To recap, the shooting and movement is super rigid and janky, so I think that's got to be fixed first in my opinion. Make the AI more interesting to watch and to fight. No more smashing action figures together. I would hope it's not too late for this, but the maps I feel like need to be bigger and more in-depth to allow for larger units on the battlefield while also giving you like these complex structures to loot. And maybe there's something spooky hiding inside, who knows? And this would make the game less predictable, which is, I mean, you don't want predictability in a horror experience. Knowing when the scare is going to come makes the scare not scary. But make it fair, of course. I mean, a cheap death in an extraction shooter is no fun. So again, I wish Fundog the best. I'm sure this dev shit ain't easy, but nobody else is going to make a game like this but you guys. So keep at it. We love you. And thanks for checking this out.
Getting there. Slowly but surely. Getting to something at least. I hope you bastards at home appreciate this.